Hello everyone and welcome back to a north facing garden. Thanks for watching, and if you're a new subscriber here, thanks for subscribing and joining the group. Today I'll be doing a slightly different sort of a video where I'll be going through the top 4 roses that have been able to perform irrespective of the hot heat wave we've had recently. For background, I garden in the UK, West Midlands, zone USDA zone 8B. But recently, we've had a long period of a cold heat wave with some intermittent thunderstorms, so a bit of rain interlude. So this morning, I'll be going through some of the roses. This is we're approaching the end of the first flush for me in my area, and most of the roses have already been deadheaded, but a few that have again retained and maintained their flush. I will be going through the ones particularly that have performed well in the heat wave. At number 4 for me will be the New Dawn rose. It's done well considering the heat wave. It's still pushing out nice flushes, and the flushes that have been under the heat stress, they've not coped badly at all in my opinion. I do have new flushes still coming through, and it's just a beautiful pale pink. It flowers in clusters. I think it's a rambler. It's beautiful, still buds yet to come through, and it is fragranced, beautifully fragranced. So I think New Dawn is an oldie but goodie, and I would recommend this if you have a space, a pergola, maybe an arch. It is one that does well, I think, considering this part of the world we don't have a lot of heat, but recently the trend, I think the weather will tend to have more of these heat waves, so you might want to think about that when choosing, particularly if you are on the south facing aspect of your property. The heat, believe me, you will need something that can resist the heat. At number 3 for me, I think will be this Rosy Susie, which is a Harkness rose. It continues to flower unfazed in the heat. Again, it's lovely fragranced rose. It's peach, apricot, changes tones depending on the age of the bloom. I think it's done well and I'm loving it, and I just can't imagine what it'll look like when it eventually covers the arch. But it's a lovely performer, and it wins. I think it goes in number 3 currently for me in my garden. At number 2 will be a shrub rose called Bonica. Bonica is a short rose, but in most areas people tend to use it as a hedge, but I found it very beautiful. This is an unfragranced one, but it performs wonderful, and it just keeps same for about 3 weeks. The blooms have remained this way in the nice beautiful clusters. I have it on my patio here, which is mostly in the shade. That might have helped, but overall I think it's just one that you shouldn't snooze on. It's a beautiful rose, consistently flowering. I have it somewhere in if you check one of my old videos, I may link it up there when I first got it. But it is one that I would recommend for a new rose grower who just wants the pleasure of beautiful blushes. It performs well irrespective of rain or sun, and I will give it a number 2 in my garden currently. I have another one which is just tucked over there, but that one is a bigger bush than this. And at number 1 goes to Amadeus, which is a climbing rose that I got from Twincentrum Lotum. This I have growing in a pot. This year it hasn't even performed to the best of its ability because of the peat-free compost that I used. I'll address that in another video, but it has been beautiful. This is its first flush. I haven't deadheaded, barely as it started to drop its petals, but the same that has flushed, first flush, this is it, still maintains its integrity. deep scarlet blooms in clusters, and I have more buds appearing. So it's one that I'm amazed at its performance in this heat. And I would just have to say this is a beautiful one to have in a south-facing aspect. I'm growing it in the container here, but I can imagine it will do much better in the ground. And it's one that when you have hanging on the doorway or an arch will just be beautiful. And it's, for some reason, because it doesn't shed, is less I don't know, it doesn't create that floor of petals that you can have like nude on. It's quite notorious now for creating flushes on the floor. But this Amadeus, hands down, I would recommend. It's a beautiful one, deep scarlet, almost like suede, very beautiful, and it's just maintained its integrity. This is its first flush. The blooms on this bush have been there now for about 4.5 weeks, and it doesn't even get phased by the heat. So for me, Amadeus will be at number 1, heat resistant at the moment for me, but the other 3 roses that I have mentioned have also done well. Now, I won't go through the list of roses that have performed poorly, but all I can say is that most of my Austins have not been able to stand up to the afternoon heat, and I can't keep moving the bushes for afternoon shade. So like that's Poet's Wife. This is my Rhodol. The worst hit is Princess Alexander of Kent. The blooms barely last 2 days in the heat, and they just get frazzled and shrivel. So for background, if you intend to have some of the Austins, I would advise you to go in a location with maybe morning sun and a bit of afternoon shade, for they do not really enjoy the afternoon shade. But I don't know how other rose growers have managed, but please do let me know in the comment section what has worked for you, especially for roses that do not persevere in the heat. What have you done? Have you moving them into the afternoon shade, or did you select a location with morning sun alone? And I will be very grateful to read in the comments. I might get more ideas of sort of roses to look out for, because the weather trend recently is that we'll be having more of these heat waves and in our summers. So you might want to sort of readdress or replan what roses you go for. So please do let me know in the comment section, and thanks for watching if you made it to the end of this video. Bye.